Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to Sketch Club. I'm Jason Meyer, Meyer Studio. And tonight, what I'd like to do is maybe go deeper than we've gone before. But we've spent a lot of time talking about the basics, how from the basics we fit them together, and then from a big mess of this togetherness, how we can make it say a little bit more. And the saying a little bit more just happens with the exact spacing about showing things that you may not see in the setup or the reference. Okay, we talked about a dark in here, and then that cherry being separated from the pear, and then some leaves accenting in that. So tonight, what I've done before we got started here was I've laid things out, right? We've done color studies, we've done compositional studies. We just started our painting this morning. You can see the pear in question is right here. And so what I want to show you guys tonight is how the painting and the studies interact. Right? And even though this isn't exactly what I have here, because I wanted to make a point here to you guys, by doing what I'm going to do tonight, it's going to fuel my imagination and help me create some problems over here in this painting when I get back to it when it dries. So, if you guys have been with me, you realize that there's three principles. The first is visibility, meaning that we see, and that's done with values, a light against a dark, right? And so what you're going to see is that what we're really working here is with that sequence of light, darks, and grays, and we're orchestrating that. The other thing you might recognize is that idea of parentheses, of holding the light. And then that idea kind of repeated in so many different ways. I guess it would be bump, bump, bump. Like that. So where a lot of you that have been with me all year are getting to is okay, I've got these four values. Okay, hard, soft edges. Okay. But it's really how you handle them, right? Does the best speakers or writers in the world use language that different than us? Generally not. But they're pretty good at it. So one of the things we want to do that we've talked about is getting into the center, or working from the inside, working from the heart of the matter to the outside. And so how can we do this and be careful? Well, one way to get inside here is we talked about having a hard edge of a cast shadow right there. Soft edge, and then there would be another hard edge here at the bottom. So do you see how those are related? This is going to throw us down here very hard. It's almost like creating an arrow going here. This says stop, and it's taking us back this way. It's not taking us straight across. It's not bringing us forward. And one of the things I'm going to do to play against this movement is right over here where I'd like you to start. Just going to go a little flatter, right? We're going to walk our way. We can walk our way right? Almost vertically back to the action. Right? That may not seem like much, but do you guys see how space and stuff is already happening? It's by some of this just really controlling what we know how to do. So now that we've got these big dark marks here, how can we say, hey, yeah, but this is about us? We just give them a good negative shape. Is that eye-catching there? So the job of the artist is to understand this on an abstract level so that you're really playing with principles and not with objects. Okay? One of the principles I'm playing with here is near will be more, and then this is going to be a little further back. Where exactly? Right? Do I want it to have the same as that, or do I want it to be not quite so? Do you see as that's subtle, but it works. It works. Soft edge here is going to meet that hard edge. And then it doesn't seem like a big deal where we place that cherry, but it really is, because we don't want it halfway in between. The size is important. We're going to make it a little bit large. So again, the size pulls it forward. Okay, what are we going to do here? I think I like this facing us. That little stem, let's that face us. And I can turn around. Okay, also, what am I doing? Notice I'm taking you from one part of the paper to another part, right? I'm not just lining you up, and we're going in a diagonal. Diagonal's movement. We talked about the first principle being visibility, the second principle being 3 dimensions. One of the ways to get 3 dimensions is near to far. Another way is form. Right, and form is our light and dark. Right, we know we need a hard edge right there. And then let's think about how are we going to pull this off of the background here? How big is this pear going to be? I wanted to bring this down since that drops down. You see, as we drop together, what that does. I want to come all the way over here again to pull you from here. I don't want to stop you here, because what are we going to do with the rest of the... Right, let's make the most of what we have. And then notice we've kind of repeated that up here with a similar sort of movement. Let's get some crisp edges right here. It's important to know when you need to be clear. And then let's walk back here. I like this going here. I'm gonna have a little bit catching in there. I like the idea of some light being up here somewhere. Right, so this is much less about copying any particular leaf and much more about orchestrating how I'm presenting this visual material. Again, the visual material is just dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, gray. Those patterns. All right, so let's fill some of this out. I forgot my timer. That's all right. We're at 7:11, so we got about 20 more minutes. So rather than distinguishing these, just bleed these together. Right? That'll create less work for the viewer. They'll appreciate that. All right. And then what if we could say that even this side was closer to us than here? Wouldn't that be incredible? Hey everyone, I should have looked up. I should have said hi. Sorry, I've been in artist mode. I'm in artist mode right now. Tom, Claudia, Rini. All right, hope you're surviving that heat up there, kiddo. I think it broke. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry, I've got one favorite. I can only have one favorite here. And she just showed up. Well, she's probably been here, but I just saw her. Okay, so here we go. And then if this goes back here, one way we can define this side is let a leaf in shadow be poking around there. And so then that light is held by two darks, and it becomes more. Again, we can use something behind to give that edge a little more definition if we like. All right, so we talked about this being closer, this being further away. So that brings us to our third principle. Our first principle was dark against light, or visibility. It's got to be visible. This is the visual arts. right? I mean, unless you're doing one of those invisible installations or something, then they're probably not going to be able to learn anything here. But if you're trying to make visual art visual, well then what's that basic principle? Light against dark. The second thing, let's take this flat two-dimensional two-dimensional piece of paper and make it appear three-dimensional. So that includes near to far in form, and then third is movement. And one of the ways we can show movement is the idea of more to less. So if we have more on this side, and then we get a little bit weaker as we go to this side, that creates imbalance and it creates a movement. I know, profound. Once you understand the implications of it, it is extremely profound. Right? Because then you can start thinking in the terms that you can control. And how can you control burnt wood? Well, you can keep it steady or stable, the value of it, or you can make it darker, or you could make it lighter. And when it's darker or lighter, you can do that in sudden steps or in slow gradations. So you got stability, or more or less, and then the more or less is either gradated or stepped. And that's your entire language. So now we're going to write a code, create a code using that language. You guys good with that? You cool with that? I hope so. I hope so. Okay, so giving room to have light on the table. And if we're going to come all the way over here, which why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Alright, got a little wild there. Here we go. Where we go? We're going on a journey. Come on, kids. Let's go on a journey. Right? The viewer wants an experience. And if there's no change, there's no experience. But art's supposed to be about a beautiful experience. Right? Art's about beauty. At least how I look at it and see it. And then so if you're creating art, you should be creating something that's going to give that viewer a beautiful experience. What do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? Let's do that. Let's do that. Alright, sorry. Getting into timelessness again. Oof. Hard to teach when you're in that state. Hard to teach from that state. But it is a good place to create art from. Or just hang out in. I don't know. Whatever you want. Again, what's this here? Because we want to bring you all the way over here. Bring you all the way over. I'm not allowed just to make this stuff up. Of course you are. Of course you are. But we're not just making it up, we're designing it. We're creating it. Right? And that's a little bit more of a job than just making something up. And creating something's actually takes quite a bit of energy. I think it'd be a good lesson if every time you destroyed something as a child, I mean, once you get to be a certain age, of course, you would be required to create something. Right? Destruction's necessary, but destruction without creation, oof. Oof. All right, so we're supposed to be talking about subtlety here, aren't we? Aren't we? So we've got this. Let's hold this with this. Again, I want to drive you down towards this light. See, here we want to drive you right. I'm always thinking about where we need the viewer, where I want the viewer to go. Right, so we need a pretty good little hold here so that they can make that corner. So they can make that corner. And then we do want this to be a bit quiet up here. Okay, so again, we're just developing these light dark patterns. And I think the sooner you can understand it in those terms, right, which is a certain perspective, it's a wider perspective. Usually when people come in to drawing and sketching, they're all concerned with particulars, individual things, what things, copying things. And if you do it long enough, you find out that doesn't really get you anywhere, even if you do get a good copy. You're left a bit unsatisfied. But if we create, if we conceive, well, that's a different kind of activity. That's a different kind of thinking. It's a different kind of being. Right? I think some people, when they think of the arts, they think about being in a certain state. That's kind of the idea they fall in love with. And that is what it's about, but it's not so easy to get there. And then when you are there, you got to make sure you can still function so you can execute whatever work you need to execute. So this isn't about understanding this on a level that if you memorized for 12 hours for 7 days, that you could tell me everything about painting. This is about coming to an understanding of what we're doing so that you can make beautiful things happen. At least that's how I see it, and that's how I offer and approach my teachings. How are we doing? 6 minutes. I got a little rough here too. Man, 30 minutes is not much time. Not much time for subtlety. But let's see what we can do. Let's go for it anyway, huh? Let's go for it anyway. Okay, so let's see if we can't give this a little nuance. But just to remind you guys, we've gone from here. Can you see the difference? Right, so you've got to take this understanding and then put it together and then start seeing, hey, how good can I make it? How good can I make it? All right, treat it like a pop quiz. Oh, pop quiz day. How good can I do? All right, we're running out of time, so we got to make sure that these people are going where we need them to go. The good viewers that will be coming to our papers. Let's see, what did I decide I was doing there? I've confused myself now. We'll do that. Right, go in there. All right, let's see. Let's see. What can we pull out here? What can we pull out? So in some of these leaves, we'd want to start going near to far. Give them a little more oomph. See, carefully consider, do we want this? I think I want this going right like that. All right, and maybe we'll have to leave it right there. But for those of you doing the still life, let's think about what the difference is here. I mean, this is not too bad. We've got some distance. But look at the difference in this shape versus that shape. And then when that shape's orchestrated with other shapes on top of another orchestrated light and dark, now you're building all this up, and these quote-unquote layers start to pay off. Right? So you're doing these simple things in patterns, but you're more concerned about making these patterns beautiful. Right? Beautiful. All right, so I think we'll leave it there. It's been a great week here. We've done lots and lots of work. I've got 3 wet, well, some of them are wet, some of them are dry paintings behind me that we're going to be demoing on again next week and the week after. So this was day 1 this week. Next week will be day 2. The following week will be day 3 on all 3 paintings as a kind of final for our years-long study here while we've been in quarantine. So starting in August, we'll have the 3-month course going. So if this has interested you, make sure you check that out. Cindy's already got it up there, right there in the comments. And until then, we will, let's see. That's it. If you're in the class, make sure Friday morning we're going to have Friday feedback. So get any work you've done in, and I'll give you feedback on that, and we can get set for next week. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.